We in the building, in the building. I'm chiefing as we get this started. So we'll get people first coming up in here as we are simul streaming, I guess. YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. I need to try to see if I can get Instagram in there, but they say you got to have 1,000 followers on Instagram before they'll allow it. I don't have that. Maybe I might do Twitch or something else. I would like to be on as many platforms as possible. In my opinion, that would be kind of cool. I'm just waiting to see if people start to show up here. And then we're gonna get things rolling. Mm, There we go. Things are starting to come through. Okay. So yeah, man. We are going to be exploring these documents. I'm in the wrong screen here. Let me get to the right screen. We're going to be exploring these documents. Giving it a moment here for the what you call it to pick up. But I am here. I'm just getting my good old you know what on, Chief on. Uh Chief has a whole nother meaning to me these days. What's going on, folks? People starting to join in. We'll get started here very shortly. I'll kind of give us a little sneak peek on some things that I found. We'll be talking about this fraud here, which some people who watched my recent video may have seen. Well, same thing about the Indian land fraud, Indian titles, how they were coveted to a degree. We'll be going into things like, let's see. Let's see what I have highlighted. Seems like I'm going backwards. This section, which talks about Africans being trafficked, which is where I want to be at. I'm glad I actually looked at this. Let's see. While he trafficked them, he found them means charming description of the country, who's bound. The unsuspected ever listened to him, appearing with joy and satisfaction. Oh yeah, that's the one. So we'll be honing in on this document right here. Let me make sure I favorite that so I do not forget. We'll be honing in on. mm, let's see. Oh, same thing. More about the Africans on how they came on their own free will. Okay. And it has a whole nother meaning now that I know I'm not an African. What's up, Patrick? Over there in the YouTube world. I'm trying to keep up with my messages today. I got both chats up. TikTok is moving slow, but at the same time, there are a lot of TikTok live streams going right now. So might not get a lot of people on the TikTok game today, but I'm about to get started here as I go through and give us a small idea. Now, notice this book is talking about the Yamasis. hmm Now, the thing about that is I'm not able to do a control F and instantly go to the word Yamasi because it's spelled with the long S symbol. So you got to go through there. But luckily it was in the table of contents, so I can easily find it. But there could be other passages besides that that's within the title of the table of contents that say Yamasi. So technically, I kind of got to go through most, if not all, the book if I really want to figure out what all are they talking about the Yamasis. Now, this book comes from 1779. hmm So this would be a decently primary source. It would have been wrote around the time that some of these people were there, right? Here's another one. Talked about the Africans. Oops, I'm going backwards actually. We'll be looking at things like this. Say he discovered Barbados. Oh yeah, yeah. Except a few Negroes from which Sir Yeamans and his followers brought along with him from Barbados. There was no laborers, but Europeans for the purposes of culture, huh? European laborers, African volunteers. Okay. Hmm. They later talk about there could be some wars or whatever. I'm about to put my face on cam actually. Put down a little whatever and get my amazing self on here. Okay. I'll smoke the rest of that later. But yeah, so within the same book, we're gonna be talking about African volunteers for slavery. We're gonna be talking about white servants, slaves, and how they became slaves within this book, at least within this particular colony. Things could be different based upon, obviously certain things, right? But it gives a whole. The reason why I said it gives a whole nother thing that we may not have thought about. Well, I'll just kind of go ahead and spill it. But basically, like the English was in this particular colony. I want to say South Carolina at the time, and the French had lost either a war with the Spanish and had fled to the English colony, some of the sort, but they were refugees at this particular point within the English colony. And it almost gives another idea to the whole birthright citizenship thing. That's another thing to get to, but they had what's up, folks? What's up? That's not crew. Flacco. Forgot your original name now. What up, Flacco? Uh, but yeah, so the French had went into this colony, so they were known as refugees because technically they weren't Englishmen. They did not speak English. They wasn't from England, and they treated them as servants, as slaves. And they also instituted laws to where these people could not own land and could not have the same rights as normal citizens. They would have to be naturalized, all this other stuff. So it brings out a whole new meaning to and I'm just kind of giving the overview of what we're talking about today for those that just joined, so you ain't missed nothing. I'm just kind of going through it, giving the algorithm and people enough time to join, and then we'll go through these things um like we should. Let me let this down a little bit. I feel like it's right in my face. Ooh. Okay, it's a little bit better. There we go. All right. So yeah, we'll be talking about that. So it makes you think about birthright citizenship. Was birthright citizenship including people who were from different nationalities per se, but also still here on the same landmass and may have been birthed here, or did those people get naturalized at another point in time that I'll have to find out? To be honest, I don't even know yet. But okay. We'll be talking about let's see here. Evacuated to St. The garrison Augustine, servants fled, the discontented serve. So this is talking about some people who were servants within the South Carolina area, and how they started to, and they were servants who fled. And where did they fled to? They fled to the island of St. Helena. Now, from St. Helena, they went down to St. Augustine. So, since I know now maps of what the hell this is, that to me sounds like the migration pattern or the so-called runaway slaves that joined in for the Seminoles that they said they would call them African. But I haven't yet seen any migration patterns yet that tell me that some Africans have made this similar migration. But these people did. Let's see, the garrison at St. Augustine. We'll get to it. We'll get to it because we're just kind of going over the overview uh, of what we're talking about today. Then we're going to go into the details, just giving time for people to show up if they're trying to get gamed up. Appreciate y'all that showed up for the game. Says more civilized than the brown natives of America. Okay, that's a little excerpt we'll be getting to. In fact, I found the excerpt in this book that they told the Africans that there's a continent of people over there that look like you. It's a pretty good find when we show it. It's like, huh? And you may think that that's just a one off, but I have other receipts which I can also show and probably will. When not Charlevoix, not Lang, was it Langsdorff's voyage? No, it was Viscaino. Yeah. It was either Viscaino that was reading the Torque. It was Torquemada. Torquemada's Monquerie, Indiana. Boy, it's in my head. I know where it's at. The Torquemada's Monquerie, Indiana. When they went down, it says that when he went to the Californians and distributed, he had sent a Negro that was with him on his voyage. He sent them to, and let me check my volume, make sure it's good today. In fact, it should be good, but last time, man, I had a buzz sound going. I didn't know that was going on, and the sound was just kind of horrible. And I believe I know why, but and I believe I fixed it. Yeah. That's how it's supposed to sound. Yeah. Okay. But he said that when he sent a Negro out to distribute some biscuits among the California Indians, I can quote these goddamn Voyages books way better than niggas can quote goddamn scriptures in the goddamn Bible. But anyway, he said that when he went out to distribute some biscuits, had the Negro go out there to distribute some biscuits to the California Indians, that the California Indians told him that they lived in harmony with and with love and harmony or whatever with people of his complexion, and that not long far from there was another Negro village. So to see another book where somebody's sitting here saying, hey, we went to the Africans, which is different, but somebody said they went to the Africans and told them, hey, there's a group or a continent full of people that look like you over there that are cool and collected, man. Just come on with us, man. We can get you some of this work. What, nigga? What? They like me? Let me see them niggas. Okay, I can't do it. I'm not good at a African accent. We'll be talking about this thing where it says something about an inheritance. People encroaching on our inheritance, and right below this, what is that inheritance? It's a land inheritance, and it almost resembles this whole thing right here. Almost resembles heirs property. Heirs property rules. Is that what I want to say? The process, the heirs property process, where you got to consult where land is um, given to the tribe. Tribe meaning family, mostly. Over time, it could be something bigger, but in many cases, But land is given to the tribe or family, and you need permission. You can sell so much as your own share. If you want to share more than your share, if you want to sell more than your share, you're going to have to get permission from the tribe. I thought that's pretty interesting. And let's see, whole tribe. No, that's another part of it right there. That's actually the part. The other part just talks about the inheritance, and that just plays on the whole thing of land patents, right? All right, and then here they talk about granting patents to patentees, but they're talking about European patentees. So it's not. I just wanted to say the language is very similar. Talking about a patent process on land. What up, Chief EJ Smoke 'em? What up, folks? Coming up in here. Let me look over here in my YouTube world. What's up, Dark Matter Blaster? Niga. All right, so we're going to be getting into that. And as you can see here, there's another section where they say, hey, the color of those Indians is brown. Now, can you, when they give you a direct color like brown, can a pale face native still say that a European looking at a darker European would call him brown? Because they would say, a pale face called anybody darker than him Negro. All right, if you want to go with that, they call anybody black. Okay, what about brown? Because that's a specific color. Okay, now black is a classification. If you want to sit there and just go with that, I'm not the color black, and it's a misnomer. Brown, though, the complexion brown, that's pretty direct. That's pretty direct, But okay, we'll be getting into that, None of them have. We'll be talking about how they said that none of our people had deformities, like them Africans and other people have deformities. You know what I'm saying? But we did. I mean, like, why would they note that? You know what? We went around here everywhere. They ain't missing feet and legs and toes like everybody else. No, we ain't growing tails on the back and shit either. No tails growing on the back. No deformities. Ain't nobody got ADHD on this business. Nothing. Oh, okay, all right. Hey, no, we just start getting into y'all got over here. Yeah, when y'all got over here, now we got all kind of things going on. We'll be getting into all kinds of things, man. We about to get into it because there's so many other things. Kind of like here where Indians were sold into the West Indies. And we not and to be honest, this would be a good point to start, even though I'm gonna go back to the beginning, but I'm just gonna reference how I found this book. So this particular passage is how I found this book, in a sense. Now, I didn't find this passage in the book. Where did I find this passage? Talking about people taking Indian slaves to the West Indies. Where did I find this? I have found it in a newspaper article. The History of the Five Civilized Tribes newspaper article by Grant A. Heavens. He kept talking about, as you can see here, let me do this. Now, the whole thing is highlighted, but I'm going to do this so that way you can see what I'm talking about. He was talking about, now, as you can see right in here, they talk about sending people to the West Indies. Indians, as possible to send them to and capture, okay, as many of them, and send them into the West Indies. Now, who was talking about this? Is his name on here? I thought his name was on here. Hold on. Same article. Maybe the name is not on this one, but let's go to the next one here. It's probably here. And I'm probably just overlooking it. I'm probably just about to type it in so it'll just pull up. Yeah, I'm gonna do that because it's annoying me. Okay, who at? Where you at? Now here we go. Okay, here we go. Yeah, see, I just missed it. So, because that's the same one. So, when I was reading this newspaper article, and I found this newspaper article by doing research on the Yamasee, searching for Yamasee. So as you see, it says capture as many Indians as possible, sell them into slavery into the West Indies, right? Well, it has a guy right here named Huat, right here. And I was like, who is Huat? Who is Huat? And because I know a lot of voyagers, I know a lot of people, I know a lot of things. Whenever there's a new name of somebody who's been writing about something that I've never heard of, it intrigues me. So I have to go find the book. So that's where I kind of got this whole book. I figured, especially since it's revealing information like this up there, saying and multiple times saying shit that we don't always hear, which is that people were Indians were sold into the West Indies, captured and sold. It really makes you be like, okay, well, whatever's in that book has got to be pretty dope. All right, it's got to be pretty revealing, in my opinion. And as I was reading the book, yeah, of course it was revealing. Of course it was revealing. Let's go back down. I don't know why it took me all the way up there. Craziness. So let's get into it, man. This is the book for those who want to get the screenshot on. It doesn't have the name Who It on here. It doesn't have who wrote it, but notice somebody wrote it on that bitch. Now I'm hoping this is the original, as I did go online and I was looking, and I may have already closed it out. Yeah, I probably already closed it out. But anyway, I was looking for the book online, and they too was coming up with this same version. So I'm assuming it's the original version of the book. Um, but y'all know how I am, and I really like to try to find the original version, because corruption happens if it's not the original version. Corruption can still happen with an original version too. But nonetheless, this is the book for those who wants to screenshot. It says in a historical account of the rise of progress of the colonies of South Carolina. Now this comes. It doesn't say the year. I mean, it says the year, but it's in Roman numerals. But it's in like 1794. And so this is what we're gonna go through. Okay. Now I want to start with the one passage. Let's see here. We're going to read this about Africa. Now, this is page 23. They talk about African slaves pretty early in the book, and they detest it pretty greatly. They don't talk about it in great abundance. They do talk about it again later after they talk about rice being introduced. So you're talking about the Gullah story. I'm sorry, the Geechee story. Never say Gullah. Ah, you got to get it out. Like you say Gullah, that's the wrong word to be saying. How do we send messages on YouTube Live? There should be a comment section. I think you have to click on the comment section or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on the visuals on YouTube Live. I don't really be on it, to be honest, a lot. Um, I'm on there, but I don't be on there personally. Yeah. But what's up, Amor? How you doing? What's up, on Code? I didn't see you come up in here. How you doing this evening? So yeah. So we're about to look at this. They do talk about African slaves up in here. Now you may think in my head I was like, ah, damn, they done got me. I done found a receipt to help they motherfucking story, right? But in my head, I already knew. Remember, I had to think, wait a minute, let me not fret. Remember, I found this book because they was talking about sending Indian slaves out to the West Indies. So obviously, it ain't too much of it. We obviously there's going to be some differences between these African slaves that they're about to talk about and the Indian slaves and the white slaves. They talk about it all. So I was like, huh, you know. Okay, so let's start off reading this passage right here. Okay. Let me make sure, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna start. Let me make sure. I'm gonna start a little bit higher. Let me do this. Just so I got that right there. All right, so we're gonna start right here. It says Hawkins told her that he considered it an act of humanity to carry men from a worse condition to a better, from a state of wild barbarism to another where they might share the blessings of civil society and Christianity, from poverty, nakedness, and want to plenty and felicity. Now it says, he assured her he assured her that in no expedition where he had command should any Africans be carried away without their own free will. Why I got to do all that extra marking for dramatic effect? Okay, for visual effect, I guess. But from their own free will and consent. Okay, and consent, except such captives as were taken in war and doomed to unaliving. So that's what he said. Okay, he says that he had no scruple about the justice of bringing human creatures from the barren wilderness to the conditions where they might both themselves be happy and beneficial in the world indeed. Hold on, I think there was this is the one ahead soon after the. Let me go to the one before real quick. Let me cancel that. I think that was one ahead. Let me see here. Hold on. Sledge condition. The next day is blah blah blah. I'm sure does the usual grain finish up, but my parts of the Negroes are tower large. Hunger the line. Slaves haven't surrendered them. Deposit this cargo. Slaves. Student. Hold on, y'all. Trying to find the. I think this might be it. When he trafficked, he found the mean, charming description. Africans listened to him. Yeah, what page is that? 2021, and the other one was 23. Yeah, I was 2 pages ahead. My bad, guys. Okay, so remember that part, but let's get to the part prior to it because it explains that part. So it says right here. Actually, let me get my little highlighter out. Man, I got to make it dramatic or visual. Right there. Okay. So it says in the year 1562, he set sail for Africa and in a few weeks arrived in the country now called Sierra Leone, where he began his commerce with the Negroes. Okay. While he trafficked with them, he found some means of giving them a charming description of the country of which he was bound. He says, unsuspicious. The unsuspicious Africans listened to him with apparent joy and satisfaction and seemed remarkably fond of this European trinkets and food and clothes. He pointed out to them that the barrenness of the country and their naked and wretched condition, and promised if any of them were weary of their miserable circumstances and would go along with him, he would carry them to a plentiful land where they should live happy and receive an abundant recompense for their labors. So he told them, hey, sorry, y'all, I need to go get some eye drops. Let me do that real fast, so I'm not doing this the whole damn time. All right, because I will be doing quite a bit of reading. uh, Hope that didn't look weird on camera. All right, all right. I'm starting to be able to see better. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. Okay, so appreciate the. Oh, that's on something else. Okay. Sorry, let me get that out of my eye. Okay, my eyes was dry as hell. All right, so basically he was letting them know, hey man, just trying to sell them a deal. Come here to America, man. Come with me. we'll even give you some bread for your labors, right? It then says he told them that the country was inhabited by such men as himself and jovial of companions and his jovial companions. What do they mean by that? Well, if you go to an African country and you say that the place I want to take you to is inhabited by people such as yourself, what does that mean? What's up, I am my ancestors? What does that mean? What does that mean to y'all? Just is that no different from when they get over there, like Verrazano and all the rest of them saying that these people look like the Ethiopians, right? Very, very, very much similar thing. But okay, let's keep going. And that was 21. Now let's go to page 22. Now it says here. Oh, y'all can follow along. Where I may not do this every time. I just might be doing this right now because it's new to me. But okay, companions, and assured them of the kind of usage and great friendship, of kind usage and friendship, great friendship. In short, the Negroes were overcome by his flattering promises, and 300 stout fellows accepted his offer and consented to embark along with him, everything being settled, the most amicable terms between them. So makes me wonder, like, before I would think about this as a just a super blatant lie, and it could still be a decently blatant lie, right? But I look at it differently now because Africans come here today freely on their own will, escaping wars as well. Right. Now we think about it like when we used to think about it in slavery times, and we had the whole slavery story, and we was like, oh man, they was warring with each other and being sold by each other. This shit still happening today. Niggas ain't never had a time they weren't warring with each other. Have you seen them places? I'd war with a nigga too. Wake up every day, man. To the bitch, I'm over in this motherfucker. I'm about to fuck somebody up. This cannot be my reality. Okay, so, uh, so I start to think about it in a different light now. What up, Holly Zoli Trolley? Over there, YouTube world. So I start to think about it in a different light now, because it's like, oh, you got your group full of volunteers, and 300 on the boat around that time. I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? Especially even if it was a brig. Briggs was still kind of iffy on that, but also it fucks up the whole story of having to pack these niggas like sardines, right? You got 300 volunteers in this book. Why you got to chain them up and have them all? Where y'all get them photos from that y'all drew up? These niggas came willingly. You had to chain and beat these niggas. You just had to give them a little water and a little bread or something. Make sure that was good. What's up, Lola? Shalom. So yeah. When as I look at that now, I'm thinking, yeah, no, it looks like they may have tried to come over to a place. Now let's keep reading here. It says Hawkins made preparations for the voyage, but in the night before his departure, his Negroes were attacked by a large body from a different quarter. Hawkins, being alarmed with the shrieks and cries of the unalived persons, ordered his men to the assistance of the slaves, and having surrounded the assailants, carried a number of them on board as prisoners of war. The next day, he set sail for Hispaniola with the cargo of human creatures, but during the passage, treated the prisoners of war in a different manner from the volunteers. From the volunteers. Who's the volunteers? I mean, just think about it. They want us to believe that they went around the tree of forgetfulness. That's why they want you to believe that story. They don't want you to know these niggas freely came. No, 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 we didn't know, nigga. We had no clue where we were going. You bitch ass nigga. It's just like y'all steal jobs today. Okay, coming over. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's keep going. Lying ass, man. All right, I probably got restrictions already on TikTok. No restrictions. Where my TikTok showing? It ain't showing no restrictions yet. All right, cool. Notice I said yet. All right, let's go back to it. So, volunteers. Okay. It says, upon his arrival, he disposed of the cargo to great disadvantage and endeavored to inculcate on the Spaniards who bought the Negroes the same distinction he observed. But they, having purchased all the same rate, considered them as slaves as the same condition and consequently treated them alike. So unfortunately, you got fucked over, and y'all still get fucked over. I don't know why you keep doing it. They basically came over as volunteers. These niggas sold you a dream. Some niggas would start coming unalive in y'all. They saved you from them, and then when they gave you all over to the Spaniards, they just kind of threw you all as slaves over there. So yeah, either way, I'm just saying. One, we'll get to a slight video where it talks about not that many people were coming to that coast. So I'm not afraid to admit and see when there are some Negroes coming to this coast. Again, don't forget, this book talks about Indian slavery profusely. Okay. So even though it does mention some Africans, it's mostly over there in Carolina. You can call them the Gullas if you want to, right? Maybe they came from Africa. There's some Gullas. I would say this though. I would say you still need to find it in your family tree, even if you was in South Carolina, because there's no guarantee that these mofos even procreated with anybody when they got over here, right? Y'all seen some of the Africans. If you not gonna fuck on a 2026 African, you wasn't fucking on a 1565 African or 1629 African. You know what I'm saying? Hell no. That was probably more dingy and dustier than it was. I can only imagine the 1565 dustiness. Okay. Just saying. Oh yeah. I mean, you still need to find it in your tree. You know what I mean? They could have just came and passed, did their little work, enjoyed their little away from home. That whole family line cut off, nigga. Whoop. Oh well. Sorry. We ain't mixing with no Indians. That shit. Anyway. All right. So that's what I found on this one. The rest of it, it kind of goes into how bad they think it was, and that also says something too. This is 1792. They did ban the importations by 1808, but it shows some of the sentiment of even the writer and people at the time on how they felt about the whole supposed slave trade thing. Not a lot talking about the South Carolina port. Still going to be talking about white servants, slavery, slaves, as well as Indian slaves. But they do mention it, and so I would, I'd be doing y'all wrong if I didn't go over that. But even if it was incorrect and was like just throwing a bunch of conjecture saying, oh, and we went around and brought 300,000 folks to the coast and blah, 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 whatever. I'll show you. I mean, well, somebody wrote it in the 1792 book. I don't know if it's 100% correct, but they wrote it in that bitch. So I'm never afraid to face the receipts. Let's see here. Now we already read that one. Let me make sure I'm going the right way. Okay. Okay, all right. Now this is going to be talking about uh something different. Let's go through the top part of this so I can remind myself on what this is. What's up, everybody getting up in here? If I missed anybody, my bad. What's up, Yolanda? Stretchy, what's happening? And everybody else, I pretty much seen. I think I pretty much seen. So yeah, let's keep going with this shit, man. So this one, let's see. I can't remember. We're gonna see. It says, notwithstanding the public treaty mentioned a religious society of the Spanish nation laid claim of the to the large territory of Florida, not only to the foot of the prior discovery, not only on the foot of prior discovery, but also by virtue of a grant from the Pope, and the garrison kept at Augustine regarded the British settlement as an encroachment on their possessions, were disposed to throw every difficulty in the way of the Carolinians in order to compel them to relinquish their country. They encouraged indentured servants to leave their masters. So this is the Spaniards encouraging YT indentured servants to leave their English masters, apparently, or British. I be getting confused sometimes when I be reading it. I mean, we talking about the British 1 second, we talking about the Spanish 1 second, talking about the French 1 second, talking about the English another second. God damn. Then the Dutch got thrown in this bitch. I'm like, God, okay. I'm trying to keep up with it. But as you can see, slavery was done, or servants. They were trying to entice people to leave their servants. It says, and and fly to them for liberty and protection. They instilled into savage tribes the most unfavorable notions of British heretics and urged them of the destruction of the colony. Good policy required the government should keep a watchful eye on the motion of such neighbors and guard his weak, defenseless colony against the pernicious designs of the Spanish rivals. Some men he discovered who were attempting to entice servants to revolt. The reason why I'm highlighting this now, this is a little early in the game. So I wouldn't necessarily fully say that these people would be Seminoles or going to the Seminoles, but to a degree, possibly. You're talking about the Spaniards coming from Saint Augustine. If I'll pull up a map. I didn't want to lose my spot, but I won't. I won't if I pull up a regular map. Saint Augustine. So we get an idea. Okay. So Saint Augustine is right there, right here, right? Now they're messing with people up in Carolinas, up there near the Savannah. They're way up here with it. So, and they're fighting people from right here, and they're enticing them to come down there. Okay. And why is that important? Because that's the same route that the Seminoles took, or the eventual Seminoles, because a Seminole wasn't known as a Seminole at this time. So anytime I see any kind of migration of anybody being labeled some type of servant or slave coming from that same area of the Carolinas down to Florida, I'm first thinking future Seminoles. Okay. So let's go back to here. What's up, folks? And let's see. Make sure y'all can see that. Yeah. Okay. These were ordered to receive. Okay. Some men he discovered who were attempting or entice servants to revolt. These were ordered to receive so many stripes, meaning getting your ass whipped, other in defiance of feeble power or of the magistrate. Uh, took to so such courses as were subversive of public peace and justice, except a few Negroes, whom John Yeaman and his followers brought along with him from Barbados. Let me go this back. So this man, Mister Yeaman, brought some Negroes from Barbados to that area. Now, are these Africans? So far, they ain't really say. You know what I mean? They were talking about Africans earlier, but these are, they say they brought some people from Barbados. They didn't say they brought some Africans from Barbados. So it is what it is, and we're gonna see later that also we were shipping Indians back and forth to Barbados and the West Indies. So who are these Negroes? It's hard to really say on this passage, but let's keep going. Blue area says there were no laborers but Europeans for the purposes of culture at this particular time. It looks like Europeans, some of them were coming over here having to work, as we know, as we've always known, right? It looks like some of them had to come over and put in some kind of work. In here, many times though, they talk about how horrible they put in work. So don't give them too much credit. Let's go to the next situation here. Page. Make sure it's the right way. Let's see. The girl service who fled and discontinued. Okay, so we'll read this. Another similar situation on people. Now the years are pretty early, but who knows how long these people stayed in those areas before they got labeled as Seminoles. So we'll go over this one. We'll just do this paragraph here, but it says that the garrison at St. Augustine, having intelligence from the servants who fled, okay, the garrison at St. Augustine, having intelligence from the servants who fled, runaway servants, runaway slaves, okay, to them of the discontented and miserable situation of the colonies in Carolina. So we're talking about from St. Augustine to Carolina again, right? Same area, big area. It says advanced with a party under arms as far as the island of St. Helena. Why is that important? Why is that? Why did I have to hone in on that? That's one of those Geechee islands today. One of them where a lot of them are at. So you got here servants fleeing from down to St. Augustine from the Carolinas and from specifically St. Helena Island. So sounding like some future Seminoles. But okay, let's keep reading. It says to dislodge and destroy the settlers. Brian Fitzpatrick, a noted villain, treacherously deserted his what? Oh, his deserted friends. I was like, it said deserted twice. Or no, my bad, distressed. I'm stupid. It's got that long S. Okay, treacherously deserted his distressed friends on purpose to join their enemies. However, Sir John Yeaman, having received a reinforcement, set his enemies at defiance. 50 volunteers under the command of Colonel Godfrey marched against the Spaniards, who, on his approach, evacuated the islands of St. Helena and retreated to St. Augustine. So here we got a specific story of a migration path of people going down from the same migration path as what would be called future Seminoles. Not labeling these people as Africans in this paragraph right here. All right, let's go to the next thing I highlighted. Now, this was just another thing that I just thought was interesting, and it's a good for a screenshot or two for many of y'all that want any of these little receipts. Feel free. But yeah, right here it says when Julius Caesar carried the Roman arms into Britain and Germanicus overrun the forest of Germany. When I saw that, I was like, Germanicus overrun the forest of Germany, and I started thinking about uh the Moors and the Wild Man photograph. For those who don't know what that is, Moors and now, when I first seen this, I didn't know that it started where it started, but it started in from what I heard, I need to look into this personally, but from what I've heard, it started in Germany. And that makes a lot of sense when I because I know um like that's crazy. Look at that. And this was sewn. You see that? And then that it opened up a whole nother idea in my head that I didn't think about that. Yeah, people could have sewn pictures back in the day with color. Never thought about it. Never thought about it. You said who? Godfrey? I don't know much. I don't know nothing about Godfrey. Only Godfrey I know is that comedian. But it's funny you say that because I saw the word Godfrey in this book. I want to say, like they were talking about somebody. But the Moors and wild men. So this is the thing I thought about when they said that people came from the forest. Notice that these are people in the forest, and notice there is no forest, but over back that way, But these people are in a castle within the forest, so they're in the forest. But you have these wild men coming after melanated people inside of a castle that are supposedly Germans, the original Germans. Okay, so some of y'all have seen this. First thing I thought about was this right here, and this thing is pretty damn amazing. I didn't know it was a tapestry or a sewn, not tapestry, but a sewn uh photograph or a painting or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. I had to look up what the whole what you call it is, the official name or something like this. But like, that's wild. That's wild and dope as hell. Um, yeah, yeah. So let's go back. That's what I first started thinking of. But I don't know if this is talking about that. But it says Germanicus overrun the forest of Germany. And Germanicus a YT man? I don't know. It said look into Ireland. I mean, I know where to look into. Definitely know where to look into. I just think these things ain't I got so many other things to look into. I ain't gonna never look into that for a while. To be honest with you, my focus is America right now, super hyper focused. But I damn sure am interested in some of this stuff. I let other people go into it, and then maybe I'll get to it someday. Said they are deliberate in choosing the thread colors. Oh yeah, 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 right. Yeah, like they didn't accidentally choose that brown and multiple shades of that brown. Notice the different shades of browns used, right? That's deliberate. Some niggas is dark, some niggas is copper, some niggas is whatever, right? I love that. I really do. Um so it says, and so Germanicus overrun the forests of Germany. Did they not find the silver stress of those country, yeah, countries little. What? Didn't they not find the silver stress? I'm not sure what the silver stress of those countries little, if at all, more civilized than the brown natives of America. The brown natives of America. Well, that seems fitting. I'm a brown indigenous person of America, so I could go with that one right there. I could definitely go with that one. Of course, we also know in this same book earlier, he told the Africans there's people over there that look like him, or people over there that are like him. Um, which, in my opinion, is almost saying they look like him in a sense. But however you want to take that one. So that's another one for you. Another little gem out of the book. Let's go to something else. Now, this is talking about inheritances, land and land. So let's read a little bit of this because this one's pretty interesting. And then the next page kind of sums it up. So we'll start here. Until laws were made to prevent and redress wrongs, and men delivered up their arms to the civil magistrate, have they not in every age had recourse to forcible means for the defense of their property? The natives of Carolina were doubtless displeased at the encroachment of strangers on their inheritance. And if they had not advanced a single step towards civilization, no man could reasonably expect from them a conduct incompatible with their natural circumstances. The woods abounded with deer and buffaloes, which, when younger, might have been domesticated, but on such employment no Indian had entered. It probably appeared to him equally deceptible as that agriculture. Mostly the thing on this one to take away is the thing about the inheritance. But let's go to the next page here. Yeah, let's get on this one. Didn't mean to do that. Come on, phone. Okay. All right. So let's go. It says the boundaries of the hunting grounds being carefully fixed, each tribe was tenacious of its possessions and fired with resentment at the least encroachment on them. Every individual looked on himself as a proprietor of all the lands claimed by the whole tribe and bound in honor to defend them. This may serve to account for many um, embargoes or whatever, which we shall afterwards have occasion to mention, taken by Indians in general at purchase made and titles. So it's taken by Indians in general at purchases made and titles obtained. Let me do that. So, taken by Indians in general and purchases made and titles obtained by private persons and even by particular provinces, for no Indian, however great his influence and authority, could give away more than his own right to any of their land, which in proportion is no more than one man to the whole tribe. To all such gifts, the concurrence and content of the whole nation must be obtained. Consent. I'm sorry, I said content. Sometimes that damn long as, especially right now, my damn eyes is damn dry. All right, goodness. All right, so it says, to all such gifts, the concurrence and consent of the whole nation must be obtained. Okay, to all such gifts, concurrence and consent from the whole whatever must be obtained. It says here at a large source of difference and quarrels open. Uh, Here a large source of difference and quarrels open. So think about it right here. It's very much similar to the what happens with the heirs property when you get a land patent. In a sense, it goes to your whole family, and well, I don't know what I don't want to say. I don't know exactly how current land patents happen work once you reinstate whatever you reinstate. But in the past, and what the normal heirs property works as, it is everybody, the whole family owns that land, and maybe you can sell off a piece of your land. But in many cases, if you selling off and they can get you and other people to sell off, that'll force the rest of the people to have to sell off, or really it's supposed to be like right here, you should have to get consent from the whole family. But I want to say that there's a clause somewhere in there that they take advantage of, because we watched the Vice documentary about it some time ago, to where if one of these YT folks can entice you to sell your portion regardless of getting permission from everybody else, then that would force it to go into sale, and they would have to all go through the whole purchase process or something. It's something crazy. But here you have that. And as you can see here, uh, it says here a large quarrels and differences happen. Yeah, because motherfuckers can't agree, you know what I'm saying, on not selling the land. You know what I'm saying? It's really what you don't want to do. You don't want to sell the land. He said they were deliberately. Oh yeah, I read that. My bad. He said, "Will you guys be getting land back reparations this year?" Yurok tribe of California got back 40,000 acres last year. The Yurok tribe. The Yurok tribe. Hmm. Which list are you in? Let's see which list are y'all in real quick. I got too much shit that people don't know about. People don't know about what I got access to. Okay. Yurok people. Yurok tribe of California. Oh, a federally recognized tribe. When did they get their federal recognition? Let me see. Pretty curious. Yeah. When y'all come in here, I study you. You throw a tribe name out I ain't heard of, I ain't seen, I ain't looked into. Whoops, I don't want to go there. I'm gonna look into you, buddy. Then I'm gonna clown you. Stick around. You will be clowned. Hey, have you seen this before? Have you seen this before? What's up, wise one? Said right, sharecropping is the way to go. What's up, Tabitha? Said you rock tribe. I hope that clown is still in here. Let's see if they got it during this time. Let's see if their name is in here. The name is not there. When did y'all get y'all's federal recognition? Let's look at another spot. BIA petitions. Acknowledged. Let's just double check. Find on page. Euroc. I don't know when they got their federal recognition. Well, they don't have a petition through the BIA. I'm not seeing unless let me look down here. But they said this ain't in alphabetical order, so it kind of sucks. And let me see if if the find on page is even working on this. Yuma. Let's see if it'll find that. They found Yuma. Euroc. Man, I ain't really finding the Yurok, but I do find them here. Yurok Reservation, Yurok Tribe of the California Reservation. So look, this is a good lesson, y'all. I haven't found them there, but you know where else I'm about to go look for them real quick? Newspapers. I be done studied your life, nigga, and have a moment, nigga, fucking with me. Yurok tribe. We're gonna see what we can find on the newspaper and some of the older shit we can find in the newspapers talking about a Yurok. Now that's not it. These are words that look like Yurok, but they're not Yurok. So we're in 1869. Guarantee we won't find anything until like maybe late 1800s, because they probably wasn't around. Let's see, Yurok, New York. That's New York. Euroc, possibly. We'll open that up. Indianapolis, I doubt it. Let's see what. You said they got here in 1986. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be somewhere around that time. Euroc. That's one thing right there. I would have thought I would have seen some legislation on them, just through that one thing. But I'm curious, just period. Yurok known as Yurok fired up. Nope. Yurok tribes. Okay, okay. San Francisco. San Francisco. Is that what we're talking about? We're talking about San Francisco? Let me see. Your tribe. Fuck with me, I'll be done looked up your whole life. Well, I don't do that to like people personally. I'm not no person to go doxing and looking at people or go look like if I was dating a girl and we stopped dating or something and she's doing something, I'm mad. I'm gonna look up her life or something. I wouldn't do no shit like that. But some trolls coming up in here with some bullshit ass tribes and some Africans. I'm about to look you up. I'm about to look you up. I was trying to see what the tribal council looked like. And what part of then I'm gonna also look at the native map because I'm gonna show y'all what's funny. We're gonna find photos of them real quick. But whoops. Native map. God damn it. So he said that they're the Yuroks. So there's the Miwok. Let me look it up real quick. Yurok. How far is Yurok from the Miwoks? Yurok. What part of? It's California. Trying to find where the Miwok in is. Well, my bad. I had to get close to it. It was writing so small. So this is where the Yurok is showing to be. Almost very, very, very north California, right? And you have all of these other tribes. Now, I got an explorer that went on that side that drew what he saw was over there in 1822. Now he drew the Miwok tribe, which is right here. That's what I was looking for. And they were yay far from the Miwok tribe. There's them right there. So they were about yay far from the Miwok tribe. Um, so let's see what these people say they look like today first. If I should be able to. Let's do this. That could, yeah, Yurok knowledge. There's a Yurok. Okay. Now they put some little Mexicano looking kids on here. Little chinos. One's a chino. One's eh, look. She's looking to me to be more Middle East, not Middle Eastern, East Hindustan, Hindu mixed with Chinese, like a Hindu China person. Like, look, some of these mixes we ain't never thought about. The first thing we'll see is a little bit of melanation on her, and think, she might be a whatever, a Hawaiian or something. And he just looked like a regular whatever. Where's some more photos of these folks? How come you ain't got that many photos? They got a bunch of photos of these damn kids. I'm not trying to pull up photos of kids though. Okay, here we go. Here we go. See, look how bright that skin is. You see how much the sun is washing out that paleness? You see that? Didn't they say it was populated by brown people? Are they playing games? They got a little over 5,000 federally recognized member. Oh, they have about 5,000 members. Eurasians. All the variations are currently in Ireland. They are studying melanated people to interbreed. What's up, Sister Bridget? Did that? I don't even know if that fool is even still in here, man. Let me see if I can see. Oh, I can see where people are at. I was about to say, nah, he done left. I started studying that nigga life. He took off. He's like, I better get the fuck out. This nigga figure fast. He done see too many websites, goddamn. Look at these folks, man. Now we in that shit. Look at this shit, man. This y'all want me to believe these are the Indians, man. Y'all want me to believe these why wouldn't it take me to that picture? It allows you to click on it, but it didn't take me to that photo. Let me get close without touching it so it don't grade out. But yeah, look at Mr. Baldy looking like Mr. Clean's cousin and a YT Chino over there, whatever they are. They would call themselves brown. I don't know why. But they would call themselves brown. And then they wear shit like this, which is nowhere near historically correct. But okay, go ahead and wear what you wear. Grass skirts, that's some Hawaiian shit. Okay, that's some Samoan ass, Siberian ass shit. We didn't wear grass skirts. We used that to sweep the goddamn floor. Okay, that's what we use it for. We didn't put that on, nigga. Bitch, that's a broom. Okay, first thing to come to our head, nigga. We can use this. What the hell are you doing with it, nigga? We wear robes, cotton, not straw, string, not straw, bitch. We wear cotton. Okay, the hell. These people are supposed to know how to cultivate the world and cultivate the land, and they don't even know how to sew cotton together. Okay, they still over here doing shit like this. I don't even know what the hell these outfits is made out of. Look at that shit. What the hell is that made out of? What the hell is that skirt made out of? Little pieces of wood twigs? What the hell is this? You're supposed to know how to cultivate the land, take the cotton and make something work. The fuck is wrong with people? Now I understand why the reservations are like they doing. They can't even get clothes right. I'm just saying, man. They will say it's their culture, but they got to go to Walmart or somewhere or to the mall to get some real clothes. They damn sure can't make them themselves. Whereas our grandmas can make real clothes out of cotton. In fact, our grandmas can make quilts. all kind of shit. I don't even know how the hell they do it. To be honest with you, I'm a man. I ain't never tried to figure it out. But my grandma was making quilts. My mama don't know a goddamn thing. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But my grandma was making quilts, and sewing shit. Man, I don't even know how the hell y'all do it. But I don't need to know. Okay, but they should. Okay, well, anyways, maybe I'm tripping. Did I see you about 5 cultures mixed in their artifacts? Said, bro, how I say it? See the raw fish or sticks. Yes, they made quilts. Yeah, yeah. Oh, they're hopefully they smoking that shit. Yeah, hopefully they smoking it. Hopefully, please, I hope that's getting smoked. That salmon. It looked like some good salmon. Not out there in the sand though. Last thing I want to be doing is biting through my motherfucking salmon and having to chew on sand granules. Okay, it's not really what I'm looking. That's not really seasoning. Black folks don't really season it with sand. Um, I know it may look like salt. It may even look like seasoning salt. But please don't put it on my goddamn salmon. What the hell? I wouldn't even put it that close to sand. I don't even understand this process. Because okay, if you at least if you want to dry it out there or whatever, that's fine. But can we put it higher where like wind won't like catch the sand a little bit? You ever get sand on your? Yeah, it's hard. It'll fuck your teeth up. You don't want to do that, man. Anyway, that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't even look at that. Eating sandy ass fish. Exactly. That don't make no damn sense. Smoked in an open sand pit. Yeah. Because they don't know how to do shit, just like they don't know how to make no outfits. They just know how to put a bunch of beads together on strings. That's why they got a bunch of those. I can make that. Yeah, yo. I just put the strings through here. That's all. I could do that. That bitch done do on 1,000 of them. Okay, man, we get it. You understand how the process goes. You don't need to put on 1,000 of them bitches. All right. Let me get off of. All right, so I was gonna show, which I'll show real quick, but those who know, Lewis Chorus, um, came to the shores of that area, and and we know what he drew: the Indians that look like on the California coast, especially in San Francisco. And it actually did say at one point that it said San Francisco under their name, the Yurok, but the landmass where it showed they was from was way out of San Francisco. That may be where the tribe resides today. All them niggas moved to San Francisco, but they probably always been in San Francisco, to be honest with you. Um, and them niggas just been lying and say they the real Miwoks. But that's the California Indians. As I put my charger in here. Now this was 1822 on that coast. He didn't see anybody else that looked any kind of other way. And then I got books of what I talked about earlier of Vizcaíno, but it was also Torquemada's Monquera, Indiana, which talked about hitting the California coast, sending a Negro that he had brought with him to the coast to give some biscuits to the natives. In fact, I can show that real quick. Why not? Hell, all I gotta do is put the word biscuit in if I can spell it right. Biscuit. I always spell biscuit wrong. Cuit. Is that right? Yeah, that should be it. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Let me give him a little pointer here. Good for the lesson. So it says Torquemada says the Californians showed no manner of surprise at the sight of some Negroes that accompanied Vizcaíno. I was right, Vizcaíno on the voyage on the coast of AD 1602. As I have never seen Torquemada's Monquera, Indiana, I can only quote from the Venejas. It says that who says from Torquemada that when a Negro was ordered to distribute some biscuit to the Californians at the Bay of St. Barnabas, the natives seemed greatly pleased at the sight of the Negro and signified that they lived with. I don't know why this is cut off. Really? Okay. My whole little dramatic effect is gone. All right. Anyway, Torquemada, where to go? Who says that Torquemada that when a Negro was ordered to distribute some biscuit to the Californians at the Bay of St. Barnabas, the natives seemed greatly pleased at the sight of the Negro and signified to him that they lived in friendship and correspondence with people of his color. Okay, and that not far from thence was a Negro village. Okay, so we know for sure that's at least two correlations of or corroborate. No, two accounts. I'm sorry, of people. One who drew it, one who said it, and I gotta think I got some other ones about the Californians, like up here. Oh no, that's different. But I do got some more. But that people are saying these were some Negro looking ass folks. So how they turn from that to this on the West Coast that we were just looking at on some super pale ass motherfucking shit, I would never understand it. Yeah. How they turn from that to this and Louis Corus, now that was 1602 from the Torquemada Monqueriana with Vizcaíno, but that's 1602, 1822, which is 222 years later, Louis Corus, a French explorer, gets to their coast. He still sees niggas. Okay, he still sees the same kind of niggas. So from 1822 to today, something else happened because I don't know where the hell these niggas came from. These motherfuckers, and you don't light up that quick through generations of everybody ain't gonna breed out that fast. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. So let's go down here. Trying to see if I can get away with this without shutting off my camera. So let's go back because we really just kind of went off on a tangent since the little troll came in and they quickly left. They always quickly leave, many cases. Not with us, especially. State law has made in straw hats made in Louisiana. I don't know much about that. He said they do the performative stuff to validate them being native. You know, that's for real. That's really what it is. That's really what it is. Is they're doing the performative stuff to keep up the illusion, and they get assistance to do that. I'm still curious of when they got their federal recognition, but I'll look into them some other time, or maybe never. If he ever comes back up, he or she ever comes back up on my panel, in the not the panel, but into the live stream, I will try to figure that out. Because, and I'll say it like this too. If they got it through federal recognition through the BIA after 1978, that tells me that they got some kind of ancestry, and I wanted to go see their papers and see who the core families they use for that particular acknowledgement. But I didn't see that in there. I'm gonna have to go look and double check, make sure I just didn't pass it up, and the control F just didn't find it, or they didn't spell it some other kind of way, or whatever the hell. But if they got it pre 1978, I was just going to try to look up the legislation, but that would at least told me that they got it through legislation, not through the BIA, which tells me that they didn't use genealogy in order to be able to be accepted. They just needed some legislation to be passed in executive order in many cases. Um, and so that's kind of some trickery, whatever, right there. But okay, let's move on. All right, so we talked about this right here. Now we can read this. I kind of already read it, but we can read it. I mean, I say I already read it, but I read it like in the beginning. Let me see, as an overview, but just as a for those who didn't see it, another excerpt in here. They're talking specifically about the appearance of the people there. As you can see, this is the thing. General remarks on the manners, government, and religion of the Indians. So this one is an older book that has like the title on the side or whatever over there. But it says to appreciate, no, I'm sorry, to appreciate. To appearance, they are strong and well made, yet they are totally unqualified for the heavy burden or tedious labor which the vigorous and firm nerves of European enable them to undergo. Yeah, right. None of them are deformed. Deformities of nature being confined to the ages of art and refinement or refinement. I don't understand that. Like they're saying that people was deformed at times of art and refinement or whatever. But either way, they said the Indians didn't have any deformities. And what does they say right there? Their color is brown. Okay, if you just needed to get another little whatever, and their skin shines, being varnished with bare fat and paint. So notice they notice the color of them while also noticing that they have on paint. Okay, and paint ain't nothing crazy. People will act like, oh, these people were painting themselves brown. That's where the brown comes from, you dummy. I was like, are you dumb? Do you think people painted every inch of their body so much, and 100% of them had their whole every inch painted brown that these people just assumed that they was brown and never saw their skin tone? Are y'all that fucking moronic? Yes, they are. Yes, they are that moronic. But let me just show you some face painting on an Indian, easily to see, real quick. Here we go. Their face is painted. I can still see the brown, right? Face painted. I still see the brown. Sorry, y'all. Face painted. Still see the brown. These are Chippewas. Face painted like a tattoo. Now, it don't seem so crazy or whatever, right? We do tattoos, facial. We've been doing tattoos for a while. Wow. Facial tattoos also. Sorry about that. I know that was right into the mic. Facial tattoos at that. And I remember when they started coming back, when Gucci Mane started coming out with facial tattoos, and then got a damn ice cream on the side of his face. People was like, what the hell? But now, face tats are completely all over the place. But as you can see, there's paint on his face. I can still see the brown. Quit playing with me. All right. What's up, Pistol Pen? What up, Ed Walk? He said they see Walk, not with us especially. Straw hats on. Okay. Make sure I didn't miss nobody. You're right. I was raised in Hawaii 15 years. What's up, Umber Beast? Over there on YouTube World. Okay. Let me make sure I ain't got no restrictions over here. All right. Nigga still straight over here in TikTok world. All right. Let's go back here. So we called it war paint. I can believe that. And it is something. It's similar to what the football players and stuff do today. But like, I mean, and football is almost like going to war. You strategize and doing all this other stuff, but they gonna put that on there for that intimidation. All right, let's go back to the book. Oh, forgot where I lost my spot. Okay. So let's move forward. The Indians are in the each tribe and Jesus. Look upon the power of sacred. So this is kind of cool. I'll read this. This kind of gives us an idea. I mean to put this in my roots folder about how we are. It tells like our our culture. I can't even get the shit out, but our culture in a sense. So let's just take a look. I'll read it here real quick for us. Let me crop this. All right. So it says, hey, the Indians, like all ignorant and rude nations, are very superstitious. They believe that superior beings interfere in and direct human affairs, invoke all spirits, good and evil, in hazardous undertakings. Each tribe has their own conjurers and magicians on whose purpose declarations they place much confidence in all matters relating to health, all matters, relating to health, hunting, and war. Okay. They are fond of prying into the future. They are fond of prying into the future. Huh. Now a lot of y'all talk about a lot of, especially a lot of women. Y'all say stuff about seeing the future, stuff like that. Either dreaming the future or seeing it. Saying what look is this? I came in late. Oh, what book is this? I said look. That's how you can tell my what you call it is what you call it. I have to show you here in a moment. I have to get off screens. But it says they are fond of prying into the future. Um, so just like we do, right? Make sure I'm not you know what, just to be safe. Doop. Just to be safe, Nick, don't get restricted as I finish this little bleezy. We'll do it like these. Okay. So let's keep going. So they can see future events. Mm. And therefore pay a particular regard to signs, omens, and dreams. Now that's y'all for sure. That's us for sure. Now you don't really see a ton of these so-called natives conjuring things, and you may see a few of them here at the spirit fair. I done been to some spirit fairs. Go and buy, where you can go buy a bunch of beads and all kind of cool shit. Mm. Get some readings and all that fun stuff. Well, a lot of our people be there, and we've always been known to that we do stuff like this. You know what I mean? So, I definitely don't be seeing a bunch of so-called Siberians. In fact, I don't even know if they can really, you know, connect with that realm like that. But anyway, they look upon fire as sacred and pay the author of it a kind worship. At the time of harvest, at a full moon, they observe several feasts and ceremonies, which it would seem were derived from some religious origin, as their success, both in warlike enterprises and in procuring subsistence, depends greatly on fortunate. They have a number of ceremonies observance. Go down here real quick. Mm. All right, I'm done with that. They have a number of that. It says when taken to, let's see. When taken sick, they are particularly prone to superstition, and their physicians administer their simple and secret cures. Notice that. Do that in red. They put their simple and secret cures with the variety of strange ceremonies and the magic arts. What is that? What is all these things? Well, if I was a Voyager and you were over here doing some kind of Reiki healing, I would look at that as some kind of magician shit. You know, if I was coming here and uh you were waving crystals over my body, or you had some kind of machine trying to inject some kind of frequency into a particular area of my body to get rid of a particular ailment, they would look at that as weird. Like, what the hell is that? And the secret cures, in my opinion, would be your roots, your root work, things of that nature. Herbs. They don't know what that is. They didn't know much about it. You don't call it a secret herb or a secret cure. It says which fill the patient with courage and confidence, and sometimes attended with happy erects. So that's that there. We're gonna go to this next one here. Let me just click over here. Okay, cool. Okay, so for those who want, old boy wanted to know what book it is. For those who want to screenshot the book, who just got in, there is the book title right there. Excuse me. Thanks for the gift, y'all. I'm sorry I didn't even been looking at the gifts, because it's such a different setup when I'm not looking at the phone screen. Because then I'll see the gifts like splashing up and all on the screen and stuff like that. Says I think it's simply our natural salve ointments and prayers. I could say that too. Yeah, yeah. A lot of our natural things, a lot of the things that we would do. Now, I got many different books and stuff that talk about them, and some of them they go a little bit more into details on the herbs as well as some of the practices. But in many cases, it's a lot of herbs, a lot of uses of herbs. In fact, one book for sure, boss. So we got that from our Israelite heritage, hence why we wore fringes. Okay. I can understand that. We definitely I don't want to paint the whole broad brush that everybody in America was Israelites to a degree, but um, a lot of explorers did call us that along many areas. So say that we were the HEBREWs and the JEWs. But yeah, so there's what was I about to say? Something about a book. We got there. Yep, they did. Somebody said something. I was gonna say something. Prayers and omens. Oh, yeah. So there's a book that I read about the island, Dalta Island, which is named after King Dalta on the Geechee coast over there. So similar area. I definitely need to go through that, but like giants almost, but tall in a sense. Really, really tall. And they gave a description on how they were able to achieve getting so tall. And they gave two different so my connection was low. Check 1 2 1 2. Okay, it's reconnected. Told me my connection was lost. Okay. So um there was one I'll give you the easier one first. So the first one, the easier one, is that they placed certain herbs over the mother's breast that were um over the breast, or did they put it directly in the milk? I want to say it was over the breast. It got absorbed into the breast, got into the milk, and the baby would get these herbs, and these herbs were for growing the body. Because that's when, and it said this, because that's when the body is most, and man, I'm back. Am I still back? My whole connection done went out, man. Y'all still hear me, man? Y'all still with me? Whole connection just left. I just had to turn my Wi-Fi off and on. If y'all still there, let me know. I think y'all still there. I see it says 14 people still here and shows people joining. Y'all still there? TikTok world, y'all there? That shit, man. I think. I mean, I know it's. What's up, Sister Bridget? She said yes. Thank you. All right. Well, I can try to finish up what the hell I was doing, but said we still here. What's up, wise one? Okay. Excuse me. I don't know what happened to my internet, but it wasn't even working on my phone for a moment either. So, but it is, frozen ice outside, whatever the case may be. So, some might be going in and out. Um, I ain't gonna trip. But let me go back. Let me pull this back up. It done shut it all down. It almost shut my shit down. All right. All right, man. I'm gonna just get through a little bit more of this. Let's see where I left off there. So we was talking about the conjuring up things and stuff. All right. So now, for those who haven't seen it, we'll talk about that TikTok is glitching. It's changing over. The algorithm has to regulate. Now that is one thing. You just came back in. Appreciate it. Yeah. That's that's one thing I have been noticing is that TikTok has been ever since they updated it, it's been really buggy, all kind of little bugs. Um, but this was I think this was my internet connection because I'm doing this through Restream. So my TikTok, y'all seeing it through TikTok, which I'm also using TikTok Studio for TikTok. But I'm also using my Restream for my Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, and it went down too. Um, so yeah, it was all over the place. So yeah, we're gonna see. I'm gonna do a little bit more, get them a little bit more of this out, and then call it quits before it go down again. But okay, so now this part we've talked about some African slaves, we've talked about some YT slaves, and all this up to this point. Now we're about to talk about trade of Indians being encouraged, and as we can see here, let me make that big for those who want to get that. Accordingly, a price was fixed on every Indian the settler should take prisoner. Let me make sure if I want to read the ones above. Let me read a little bit above. Yeah, let me just start right here. It says basically they were going through an issue. Sometimes the Indians would go through and unalive some of their turkeys and chickens and stuff like the turkeys, geese, hogs, stuff like that. That's kind of what it's talking about above, um, for particular reasons. But it says the planters as freely made use of arms in defense of their property, and several Indians were unalive during their depredations. So as these Indians were going in and sometimes unaliving some of their animals, they was trying to keep a flock because it says that they like the Indians were used to just unaliving whatever animals was out there in the fields. Well, YT folks at the time was trying to like hoard a bunch of animals like a farm and like keep them all together and raise them and make like a herd. And so at some point, sometimes we'll come through and off some of them, and they didn't like that. So sometimes they would try to, just like today's time, you go on their property, you might get pew pewed or whatever, right? And that's what they were doing. And it says, this occasioned a war, and the Indians poured their vengeance indiscriminately as usual on the innocent and guilty for the loss of their friends. And so think about that. Like we wanted vengeance. Just like today's time, you know what I'm saying, our gang kind of wars and stuff like that. Similar kind of thing, we ready to go back. And I mean, we want that get back. That's what we want. Sorry, I'm a little bit congested. Say you was cooking. It says Governor West found it necessary to encourage and reward such of the colonists as to take to the fields against the public in defense for defense of the public. Then it says accordingly a price was fixed on every Indian. on every Indian the settlers should take prisoners of war, and bring to Charlestown. These captive savages were disposed of to the traders who sent them to the West Indies and sold them as slaves. So, obviously, move that out the way. Obviously, that's self-explanatory. We was getting into it with these folks, and as a punishment, they sent some of us out to the West Indies. It says this traffic was deemed by some an inhuman method of getting rid of troublesome neighbors. Yet at this period, the planters had some reason to plead in this vindication. Lands, indeed, were given as the reward of valor, but lands without hands to cultivate them were rather a burden than any way beneficial to men who were allowed more by the proprietors than they could turn any profit or turn to any profit. It says, but the planters had an immediate reward for Indian prisoners. They had an immediate reward for prisoners. And while it encouraged bold adventurers, it was also a profitable branch of trade, Indian slave trade. Okay. Indian slave trade, basically right there in your face. Explain whether the rum was imported into the colony in return of these Indians proved of beneficial consequence or not. We shall not pretend to determine, as this depended on the use of a or abuse that was made of it, where the water was bad, blah blah blah. But so slaves of Indians sent to the West Indies or just made slaves. Either way, on the mainland, both being explained there. Let me get off of here. During which time the people fall. Okay, yeah, let's read a little bit of this above. This would be talking more about Indians. So, yeah, they talked about them Africans for a bit. They talked about the white folks also getting having to deal with slavery, but so was the Indians. And it says right here, while he proposed regulations for the peaceable management of Indians and considered the proprietors as strangers to the interest of their colony by such impolitic restrictions, the people who had lost some friends and relations by the savages were also greatly irritated against them and breathed nothing but vengeance and implacable resentment. These members of the council were removed from it for their disobedience. Nevertheless, they had such influence among the people as to occasion great trouble to the governor and totally to subvert his authority, in consequence of which Joseph West appeared again at the head of the colony and gave his assent to several laws made in it. Basically, I act like I don't know what the hell I just read, but I do. You have a group of people who did not like the governor at the time, and they also did not like the Indians. Some of them had lost uh, some of their family members lost their lives to it, and they wanted vengeance. And so these people had influence, and eventually get the governor out. Now they didn't put themselves in. And it says here, during which time the people followed the format, or I'm sorry, the people followed the former practice of unveiling and kidnapping Indians wherever they found them, and shipped them off to the West Indies without any restraint from government. Sad. but it happened. Okay, in certain areas, not to everybody. This is talking about South Carolina, Florida kind of zone, right? But okay, all right, we got that. That's one that one's self-explanatory. Although sad. Let's see here. Treatment lungs of few refugees. Oh yeah. Let's talk about the refugees. Um, this is not too. Basically, the takeaway from this, I'll read this part right here instead of going through that whole thing. Oops. He said, hard as the treatment was, this violent party did not stop here. They insisted that the laws of England allowed no foreigners to purchase lands of any kind, to purchase lands in any part of the empire under the supreme jurisdiction of that authority. Now, just that alone says a whole lot of the language that you would see within the whole clause of the Constitution, as well as they talking about the whole birthright citizenship thing, because it specifically talks about jurisdiction. It talks about and no authority have the House of Common Britain Incorporated. Let's see. They insisted that the laws of England allow no foreigners to purchase lands in any part of the empire under the supreme jurisdiction, and that no authority but the House of Commons in Britain could incorporate aliens into the community and make them partakers of the rights and privileges of natural born Englishmen, that they ought to have been naturalized by Parliament before they obtain uh grants of lands. Let me get that out the way. Grants of lands, okay, from the proprietors, that the land marriage that married the marriages performed by the clergyman not be ordained by a bishop were unlawful, and that the children begotten in these marriages could be considered in law in no other light than bastards. In the short, Avine, blah blah blah. So, main thing I want you to take away from this, uh, they could neither be returned to the jury, whatever, is that they were talking about Frenchmen, which is on the previous thing, previous right here. It will likely say it through here. They're talking about the French subject, but the refugees, harsh treatment of the colonists to the refugees. The refugees were these French folks, I believe, that came over into this English colony. And so, long story short, you got here, like, basically these people had the same situation as anybody else. You were enslaved, you couldn't buy land, you couldn't vote. uh it really was a thing, but they said you would have to be naturalized by Parliament, and it talked about jurisdiction and all that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you have to renounce, you have to go through the naturalization project process. And what the is, I don't even know if they had. It sounds like they had one, but they said they had to go do it through Parliament. I don't know what the process would have been, all this other stuff. I'm just getting to now. This is pretty early times, but is this partly what the birthright citizenship is talking about? Possibly not, because I don't know. Like, I was about to say these should be YT folks getting with YT folks, but technically, this could be YT servants and melanated Englishmen at the same time. It's kind of hard to tell, but at the same time, like, why are they so harsh in a sense? Or it could be the other way around. Melanated Frenchmen, YT Englishmen, but like, why are they so harsh with their instituting especially the marriage thing? If they look just like you, just because you speak a different language, and I say just like you, but a French person may look a little different from an English, but if y'all both look like very similar, then is it? Do you have to go that far as to institute laws against marriage and their children becoming bastards and all that? I have a lot of questions about that, and it leaves me with no answers. You know what I mean? It's not a whole. It never really does say concretely, but it is what it is. But I thought that was pretty interesting. Dejected at the thoughts of laboring, whatever. I think there was that. Oh yeah, now this I thought was pretty interesting. We're talking about Du Bois. Now I don't know if they talking about WEB or is this somebody that's related to him from an earlier time? Is he a descendant of this person? But let's see. Now this is talking about rice. Okay. Now this is another reason why I wanted to go live because we've heard the story, which is very absurd, that rice was brought here by Africans and brought here via, and I'm probably gonna do a whole nother live stream specifically about this because I got video clips I want to play, and it's late tonight. I'm probably not gonna play all that shit. Um, but they say that they sewn rice in their hair or something stupid. Um, so let me let's show you what they say here in this book. You said we get food that is not healthy, that don't have the natural vitamins. Look at Bill Gates and HMO foods. Oh no, yeah, I already know that. You said we get medicine that don't heal us. When you go to the doctor, he uses herbs that were derived from Africa. I get what you're saying. Basically, they people use. I'm trying to think in my head what's the name of this video. Uh, herbs to medicine. If you just type in herbs to medicine doc, there's all going to be all kind of stuff. There's a particular documentary that I've seen on it though that I wanted to show y'all. I would have to think about another word that I use to possibly um pharmaceutical companies synthetic herbs. Uh it's a really good one though too. Film supplements and safety, hidden dangers of vitamins and supplements. That's not it. That's a good. I think I've seen that, but I need to check that PBS documentary. Man, that was synthetic drug revolution. Vice on HBO debrief. No, they're talking about man, I wish I knew the words to say for it to show you. But either way, there's a documentary definitely that talks about how people would or how they go and find indigenous plants in all kind of places, not just Africa. Africa ain't got hardly no nothing indigenous plants, to be honest with you. They be over here in the Americas and the Amazons and everywhere else, and in Asia and stuff, looking for a lot of these indigenous plants. And they find out what the healing or property or not whatever, not healing, but whatever the properties are of it, then they try to synthesize, recreate the chemical compounds that it's made up of in order to do the same thing, although never at the same um, efficiency or whatever. So let's get into this real quick. I wish I knew what video that was. But it says Landgrave upon the invitation of oh yeah. We're talking about the rice. I was like, what is this about? The rice. The Landgrave Smith, upon the invitation from the captain, paid him a visit and received from him a present of a bag of seed rice. So some dude there, Landgrave Smith, upon an invitation from the captain, paid a visit and received from him a present of a bag of seed rice, which he said he had seen growing in the eastern countries, where it was deemed excellent food and produced an incredible increase. The governor divided his bag of rice between the Stephen Bull, Joseph Woodward, and some other friends who agreed to make the experiment. Who agreed? Man, my eyes are just water. Who agreed to make the experiment and planted their small parcels in different soils. Upon trial, they found it answered their highest expectations. Some years afterwards, Mr. Dubois, treasurer of the East India Company, why would Dubois be the treasurer of an East Indian Company? Again, this likely ain't WEB, but it makes me wonder, why was he so light skinned now? There's nothing wrong with being light skinned. I'm light skinned. I don't have any mixes like that. But now you're talking about being the treasurer of the East India Company. Starting to wonder, was Mr. Dubois part that? East Indian, Mr. Hindustani, Mr. Brahmin Indian, maybe. I don't know. But that was pretty important. As well as this is dealing with the motherfucking rice that Africans said they brought over here. But as you can see on this book about South Carolina, that whole Geechee area, it's not saying that here. It said that somebody brought the bag of seed rice and distributed amongst some folks. So let's keep going. And then it was like it was African ingenuity, African technology, and African such and such to make the whole thing work. Calm down, okay? That ain't what it say here. I ain't seen that shit. I ain't not once in this bitch seen. Thank God for these Africans knowing what they know. Otherwise, this rice would not have grown. I don't see that right here. I don't see that in here. So it says a sent a bag of rice to Carolina, which it is supposed gave rise to the distinction of red and white rice. So somebody also sent a bag of rice. So Dubois sent a bag of rice from the East India Company, and somebody bought a bag of rice from somewhere else. I believe Madagascar. Now, at first, people would be like, "Oh, that's Africa, right?" Well, you're not going to be able to see the video or hear the video, but I want you to see what I saw because it shows a map. Right here. Okay. And we'll go over this probably tomorrow. But it says rice, a certain type of rice, started in Asia. Then it spread over to Eurasia, which I got another thing that talks about that. Then some Portuguese folks apparently took it down. Notice that right there? You see that right there coming down? That little shield coming down? They said the Portuguese brought it to Africa. You lying motherfuckers. It was indigenous to Africa. We always had it. Y'all niggas took it from us, nigga. Y'all done took it from the guy. It was in Asia and Eurasia before it got to you. Lying. Okay. You grow rice in water, right? Um yeah, in the ground and in water. It takes a lot of heavy water, I believe, but it's still in the soil. But yeah. So as you can see, they were the ones that took it there apparently. And they said it was indigenous to Asia. Now, at first, they started talking about over here, but they said that that particular kind of rice must have been brought over, is what they kind of glanced at. And in my head, I was like, you know, I don't know about that. But then when I kept watching, they started talking about wild rice. And there's a difference between wild rice, white rice, and that little red rice. And Copper Cutie was just literally talking about wild rice on a live stream some days ago. So this is like another synchronicity. But when you come over here, where is this wild rice native to? It don't show the map, but and you can't hear it, but North America. The wild rice is native to North America. And in fact, I got this video that I found also of this dude who's a Geechee, excuse me, Geechee, and he's talking about that Carolina rice. He says that it came from somewhere else, but he says he also keeps a patch of wild rice. Okay. Okay. But again, the rice did not start in no Africa. And the thing we were just reading definitely doesn't say that either. It says that somebody, and they try to say that it was brought over from I got videos of that too, trying to say that the rice was brought over by African slaves with African slaves. It don't say they're here to do it. It just says if I go to the page, there's a page before it. Page 112, 119. I think this is the page before it. Yeah, this is the page before it. So the page before it says this. About this time, a fortunate accident happened which occasioned the introduction of rice into Carolina, a commodity which was afterwards found very suitable to that climate and soil of that country. A brigantine, which is a boat, decently sized boat, from the island of Madagascar, touching at that place in her way to Britain, came to anchor off Sullivan's Island, the land, blah, blah, blah. So, and he basically says that they brought the rice from the Madagascar area. Now, at first, I had watched a video from different folks, and this chick right here was talking about either her or her, one of them two we're talking about how the rice came from Madagascar, which was Africa. Is Madagascar Africa? I guess in a degree, yes. But then again, now you gotta see the trickery behind how they're talking about. Because yeah, he stopped at Madagascar, which is this big ass, piece of land outside of Africa. So I'll give it Africa, just like I give the Caribbeans America, right? But as I see it right there, I remember now. Oh yeah, where did they say rice started? Rice started here, so it probably got to Madagascar before it got to Africa. I could be wrong, but I just don't see Africa getting like that. You know what I'm saying? In fact, they'd have to cross all this goddamn desert. Probably did go down to Madagascar before it got it over here, but they said the Portuguese had to bring it. So either way, you got the Portuguese had to bring it. Whatever, y'all didn't have it initially, somebody had to bring it to you, and then they just brought it from there. So taking credit ain't really much saying too much, especially coming from Madagascar. not from some damn. You would think because they gonna tell you this is the rice coast. This is where they came and pulled the niggas from the rice coast. We was rice experts on this coast and all this other shit. Well, you must not have been. Yeah, you must not have been there at the time. It took some time before you became there. But anyway, so um, the story of rice, I'm definitely gonna dive deeper into it tomorrow. And to be honest, it might simple revision Indian captors, West Indies. For this time, the Carolinians have found out the policy of setting one tribe against another. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah, I'm probably gonna call it a night. It's almost 2 o'clock anyway. So they always trying to Africanize FBA. I get you. I get you there, Black Rose. Said my mother probably great by Master. Nah, I can't get with that Black Rose at all. See, that's why I don't do the FBA thing because you got people who run with the narratives that are really YT talking points. But you're a supporter of the channel. I appreciate you. You just probably need a little bit more information. But no, everybody was not great. I'll show you one document that'll easily debunk and show you the truth on that. A census document. Now, some people were. Now, I did do and find a situation where a bunch of people in Arkansas uh had one underage slave in almost a lot of these YT folks' households. So there are some people that could have went through that, but we can't internalize everybody's story as a blanketed thing. That gives these white folks make them look like they had a whole lot more power. But now this slave population schedule right here from 1790 to 1850. That means in the main time during slavery, they counted how many mulattoes there actually was. And if everybody was raped by some slave master, it would have happened during the time of slavery, right? 1790 to 1850. Maybe a little bit prior to 1790, but not that much far prior. They weren't here that long. Um, then we would have a lot of fresh mulattoes, I should say. Fresh mulattoes, people who just became mulatto. Well, when you go down here, you see that the population was 3.2 million black people who, when they looked at them, they only saw black people in them, and 405 are the only ones they saw that were mulattoes. So, and that's based on lookership. They would look at me and call me a mulatto, and I am not a mulatto. I have no mix. Even in my line, out of the 200 people I got on my genealogy right now, only one of them so far is YT, and I think that's a bunch of BS. To be honest on that too, I think he assumed one of my folks' identity. But regardless of that, if we were all great by somebody during that number would be at least half of that 3 million. Okay. And so we can't be going with those talking points. I'm an Indian. I'm an American Indian. I'm not FBA. I'm sorry. But I ain't got no problem with the FBAs, but we got to get y'all up to speed on the game, especially get you away from them white talking points. You can still believe you came from Africa for a little while, but you got to get away from the like talking points like all of our food came from slave food, or everybody was beaten and slave breeding farms, everybody was great by some slave master. All these things need to come out of your head. 3.2 whatever million people came over here on boats, all that stuff. We got to get that all out your head, man. Just to better your life. It'll better your life when you get it out. I ain't beating you up though. But appreciate you either way. I'm about to get over here, y'all. Uh, yeah, yeah, we went through quite a bit, and just because this book says it doesn't mean it was the end all be all. I usually say that about books. How do I know he's not lying? And also, too, the way that this book reads, it's like a man's a man who's read the Voyager books and looked at the data and letters, and he's writing his take plus some of his observation as this was done in 1794. So mindset based upon how, and when I say based upon how he's writing it, there's certain styles of writing. Like if this was a person's journal, he wouldn't be necessarily telling the story like he's saying, like, hey, the Indians went there with the Englishmen, and when the Englishmen went down there with the French, they started fuck with the Spanish, and it would read more. If it was a letter or a journal, it would mean more like, yesterday I went down to such and such, and when we went down the creek down Ogeechee River, a pack of niggas came my way. And we had to figure out something to do and blah blah blah, and we retreated to the forts and blood with so it wasn't letter style, and then it didn't really have a lot of references, sources that I like to see, saying like, when I read such and such, when I read the Monqueria Indiana, right, from Torquemada, they talked about this. And then when I read the Lewis Chorus's voyage book, it talked about this. So when it's not giving me the sources readily available real easily, as well as it's not in a journal kind of format, I have to look at it now as a secondhand source speaking, and it could be opinionated and it could be biased. Okay. Even more so than the people experiencing it. Because if you're somewhere experiencing something at the time, yeah, you'd be a little bit biased about. Everybody has some type of biases, but if somebody just raided the place, you're not really probably lying about these niggas was just raiding your place, and you typing it up. Like just in your text messages, I mean, we lie to people, but you know what I mean. You get where I'm going though. So the book, but it's still in an older time, in the older book, especially some of the first books about South Carolina. So I still give it a good rank of a score on the. I'm gonna listen to some of what it got to say and take it as some truth. But still, you never know. Still could be a bunch of bullshit without sources on where he's reading it, and without it being a first hand account. It's just in that limbo zone of but I'm still gonna read it because it was in the newspapers. It is in the history about it. Other people talk about it. It is the book that's referenced on museum sites. So if they're referencing it, it's got some semblance of truth. So some semblance of whatever, or truth, or being official, whatever. So, anyways, says, "Oh, complete the verification." Oh man, I wasn't even looking over here. Why is my whole screen white? Y'all can still hear me, but it shows my screen is white for whatever reason. Can y'all see my screen? And TikTok. Now YouTube and Twitter, y'all should be able to see my screen. TikTok, can y'all even see me? It shows 25 of y'all still here. Y'all can see my screen. It's showing white on my side for some reason. What the hell? It came up for me to do the puzzle. And you see me too? Oh, that's wild. That's wild. It came up for me to do the puzzle, and from that point on, it's all kind of fucked up. But y'all see it. Y'all about to end off anyway. Um, California listening. He spelled California with the K. So yeah, yeah. I'm gonna finish off, but like, um, yeah, I don't know what I forgot what the hell I was saying after that. That shit fucked me up. Oh yeah. So I mean, just making sure you got the official book for many different reasons and stuff like that, man. But yeah, I'm gonna get off of here, man, before something else happen. And with this technology shit, shout out Mississippi and Bloodline listening. Yeah, that's what's up. Said nigga came in like, yeah, I'm sorry, Saturday. I'll be doing one tomorrow though. I'm about to get off here. I ain't even gonna lie. I'll be doing one tomorrow. Cause I definitely want to go very much so in on this rice situation. And I'm gonna look up some more information before I do it. But I've looked up quite a bit of stuff on it to be honest. But definitely gonna go into that. But I appreciate y'all. She said, okay, tomorrow it is. I appreciate you. Try to get you some Z's in. I'm gonna try to get me some Z's in. Go join the live stream and get me some Z's in. Appreciate you, Amber Breeze. Appreciate you being back. I mean, being here this whole time. Definitely. Appreciate the YouTube world. Appreciate the Twitter world. Appreciate the Facebook world, who probably nobody watches. So I'm gonna holler at y'all.